There are some movie franchises which, on the surface, shouldn't go and be as successful as they were. The Mighty Ducks was absolutely that franchise, because it was about a fast and loose and greedy lawyer being forced into community service by coaching a hockey team. He learned a lot and made them champs. The movie started a franchise of great fame and actually inspired the NHL to make a team in the Anaheim Ducks. But since the first movie came and went, the cast have gone on to various things. So allow us to show you the Mighty Ducks cast, then and now. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Emilio Estevez. Yep, we're going to start out with Coach Bombay, because in truth, he was honestly what helped bring the movie together, considering he was literally acting with a bunch of kids throughout the first movie. Estevez, in many ways, is Hollywood royalty. He was a member of the legendary Brat Pack that starred in hit movies like The Breakfast Club, and he made his own name via films like Young Guns and others. But as an adult, it was Mighty Ducks that helped expand his brand and his reach. After doing the 3 movies, he pulled back a bit from doing on-screen work and instead worked behind the scenes in various ways. You might remember the critically acclaimed film Bobby, about Robert Kennedy. He made that film. He's done all sorts of directing work over the years, even playing alongside his brother, Charlie Sheen, and his father, Martin Sheen, even portraying Martin in an episode of The West Wing. And of course, when Disney decided to bring back the Mighty Ducks via the Disney Plus series Mighty Ducks Game Changers, they had to bring back Coach Bombay. His journey in hockey isn't over yet. Joshua Jackson. While Coach Bombay may have been the driving force behind the film, Joshua Jackson was the kid who made sure that the team wasn't ran roughshod by Bombay's initial cheating antics. As Charlie, Joshua Jackson showed a heart and kindness that even Bombay couldn't ignore. He was a part of all 3 Mighty Duck films, and fans couldn't help but love seeing Charlie back in each of them. Most notably, after Mighty Ducks, Jackson starred on TV as Pacey Witter in Dawson's Creek from 1998 to 2003, Peter Bishop in Fringe, and Cole Lockhart on The Affair. Most recently, he appeared in Netflix's When They See Us and Little Fires Everywhere. He also made his Broadway debut in 2017, leading the revival of Children of a Lesser God. That's a lot of big roles across many series. And while it's true that he didn't get to return for the cameo episode of Mighty Ducks, the team behind the movie know that fans want nothing more than to see Charlie again. And apparently, Jackson is perfectly up for that. Eldon Henson. Eldon Henson was easily one of the fan-favorite characters on the Mighty Ducks as Fulton Reed. He was the tough guy who had a wicked slapshot and eventually became one of the Bash brothers in D2, the Mighty Ducks. His attitude and skill made him stand out, but also allowed him to make a lot of friends on the team. As for Henson, he stayed in Hollywood for a good while, and continues to do roles to this day. You might remember seeing him in She's All That, Castaway, and Dumb and Dumberer, or as Pollux in the final 2 Hunger Games. But his standout role, and arguably the role that made him more famous than much of the young cast, was when he was brought into the Marvel/Netflix collaborations as Foggy Nelson, the best friend to Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil. Foggy was the fan-favorite character, and he appeared in a lot of those shows, including Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and having a big part in Defenders. When the Netflix line was canceled, due to Disney Plus coming around, fans were furious because it meant we wouldn't get to see Henson as Foggy again. But he did return for Game Changers, so at least we got to see Fulton Reed because of it. That's something, right? Sean Weisz. This one is a bit hard to talk about, because another major fan-favorite character was that of Goldberg, the goalie who, at first, didn't look like he could go and block anything. He became one of the stalwart parts of the franchise, and his comedy was golden, especially in D2, The Mighty Ducks, when he played the part of Con Man while in LA. Post-Ducks, he also starred in the Disney movie Heavyweights and booked roles in the TV series Mr. Rhodes, The Tony Danza Show, and Freaks and Geeks. That, sadly, is where things take a turn. In August 2017, Weisz was arrested for alleged possession of methamphetamine, and in January of 2020, he was arrested again for residential burglary and being under the influence of a controlled substance, allegedly methamphetamine. It's always sad to see a famous actor fall, and you honestly hoped it wouldn't be one of the Ducks. But sadly, life just doesn't work out like it should in certain ways. Marguerite Moreau. Who says girls can't play hockey? Certainly not Marguerite Moreau, who played Connie Moreau. What are the odds of that? She was the only female player on the original team, though she wasn't alone in the sequel, thankfully, and became known as the Velvet Hammer because of how tough she was on the ice. After the Ducks, she went on to be big in both TV and movies. She hit it big when she starred in the cult classic Wet Hot American Summer in 2001. She has enjoyed regular movie work, as well as recurring roles on Life as We Know It, The OC, Parenthood, American Crime Story, Grey's Anatomy, and Shameless. That's quite a roster of hit shows if we can be honest here. She continues to make shows and movies, including doing things for CBS All Access, now Paramount Plus, and Netflix. Brandon Quinton Adams. Brandon Quinton Adams was the one and only Jesse in the movies. He was not just sarcastic, but someone who didn't trust Bombay at first, via how he coached. But eventually he became a key part of the team. Adams went on to star in The Sandlot, and landed guest spots on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Sister Sister, and Moesha. Since then, his acting credits have been sparse, save for voiceover work in the video game series Kingdom Hearts. It's a little sad that he didn't get more work, but sometimes that's just how it goes in Hollywood. Jussie Smollett. Quite ironically, Jussie Smollett, who plays the younger brother of Jesse via Terry, honestly had a pretty good career in Hollywood once he was out of the Ducks' shadow. He booked guest roles on The Mindy Project, Underground, and others, before eventually going and getting a big role in the hit series Empire, which, of course, starred award-winning actor Terrence Howard. However, in January 2019, Smollett became embroiled in a controversy since what initially appeared to be a racial and homophobic attack against him came under question, resulting in his eventual arrest. It definitely wasn't his best day. On a more positive note, his sister is Journey Smollett, who you might know as Dinah Lance in Birds of Prey, and from Lovecraft Country on HBO. Matt Doherty. Every team has to have a person whom you question why they're there. And for the Ducks, that was Les Averman, the geek and prankster whom you couldn't help but love. Matt Doherty played the trickster in 1992, and soon starred in So I Married an Axe Murderer opposite Mike Myers. Since 2000, he has regularly booked stints on shows like ER, Felicity, CSI Miami, Grey's Anatomy, and Rosewood. Plus, he was one of the Ducks who returned for the reunion episode of Game Changers, willing to pass on his knowledge to the kids who also probably shouldn't have been there at first. Aaron Schwartz. Aaron Schwartz played one of the other sarcastic kids in The Mighty Ducks via Dave, and he played that role well. After The Mighty Ducks, Schwartz starred in The Adventures of Pete and Pete as Clem, and led the Disney movie Heavyweights opposite Ben Stiller, and his Mighty Ducks co-star Shaun Weisz. He has booked guest roles on Law & Order, Suits, Elementary, The Originals, and The Kaminsky Method, but is probably best recognized as Vanya, the doorman from Gossip Girl, a role he played for 3 years. Not bad for someone who had a smart mouth, right? Joss Ackland. We started out with Coach Bombay, now let's talk about the man who basically saved Bombay's life. Joss Ackland played Hans, basically Bombay's mentor, and the man who helped him get what he needed to defeat the Hawks. While he was big for the Ducks, his acting career mostly consisted of B-movies, which isn't bad for the record, just a different path than one might expect. What do you think of this look at the Mighty Ducks cast, and how many of them have grown for the better or for worse? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.